fans, Aaron Nagler here, live from Green Bay on CHTV, right across the street from Lambeau Field, here for day 5 of Packers training camp, the first day with pads on. You may have noticed, yes, I'm here in Green Bay, but this year I'm not doing the pre-practice chats that I've done the last few years. Looking at them, especially last season, it sure felt like they kind of cannibalized each other. People were kind of tuning in definitely for the post-practice stuff. The numbers really weren't there for the early practice stuff, pre-practice chats. So I thought I'd give you guys a breakdown of everything I see each practice that you can kind of look at and consume and think about and see if you have any questions about what I saw, and then we can chat on my regular Packers Daily each and every day while I'm here in Green Bay. So to kick it off, yes, the pads definitely came on today, and it was only half pads. They're not in full pads until tomorrow. That is a product of the CBA. You get those first 4 practices in complete non-pads, and the shoulder pads went on today. We'll be in full pads tomorrow. I watched the one-on-ones because that's, to me, always interesting, of course, but for me, I watch the lines, the defensive line versus the offensive line, and edge rushers versus the tackles. I know you'll probably find reporting out there about the folks who watched receivers versus corners and some of the running backs versus linebackers, but I always try to focus on the line because, look, you guys know, you've been on Cheesehead TV, you've heard me talk about it. That is your engine, right? On offense, it's your engine that makes you go. On defense, it's what helps you and makes you control things. And if you're not good up front, you're probably just not good. So I always want to look at the one-on-ones, if they're happening, between the offensive and defensive lines. A couple of takeaways. Zach Tom started things out against Lucas Van Ness, and Van Ness almost got him with a spin move on the very first initial one-on-one, but Tom did a great job of basically recentering himself in a way that would ensure that he wouldn't be, if it was a real game, he wouldn't be called for holding. Van Ness eventually got around him, but Tom did a really nice job recovering. The second rep between the two, though, Tom did jump off sides, and the third time, I was talking to Wes Hod on the sideline there, and we would probably consider it a draw, but it was much better for Van Ness, that third rep. You may see this talked about quite a bit from that session, but TJ Slayton absolutely blew up Josh Myers at one point. There was one bull rush where he basically treated him like a child. It was awe-inspiring to see if you're rooting for the defense, but it was troubling to see if you're a Josh Myers fan. It was very impressive rep. And a couple of the other notes that I took away, Wooden, the rookie, absolutely smoked Royce Newman. Holy Toledo. You talk about his quickness, his athleticism, that certainly jumped off the field today. And finally, Rasheed Walker. He looked really good. He looked really good. A couple of reps, just like teaching tape good. So something to keep an eye out there. I think, Walker, a couple years in now, we'll see. Maybe they got something there, but it's just a couple of reps, obviously. Not even full pads yet, but it definitely caught my eye. No question about it. One other rep I did see in one-on-ones that wasn't offensive versus defensive lines was running backs versus linebackers. And Goodson, who we all know, his major point of contention last year as far as not making the squad or really being in consideration for it, is the lack of productivity in pass protection. And he had one really nice rep that I saw, just caught at the tail end. I didn't see who he was going against, but he stuck his nose in there, was square, did a really good job of getting low underneath his pads and stopping the momentum of the linebacker. I mean, if he can take that step forward, that's exciting stuff. I mean, because we all saw last preseason how exciting he can be with the ball in his hand, but he's not going to be trusted to be on the field until he improves in this one area. And like I said, the rep today was very promising. Not so promising, the very, very first team rep, 11 on 11, ones on ones. It was exciting because they had Aaron Jones kind of offset in the slot to the left. He goes in motion, and A.J. Dillon's in the backfield. Jones goes across the formation. Love turns, hands the ball to Dillon. Dillon runs into the line and promptly put the ball on the carpet. Can't do it. Can't have it. It's a tough way to start the padded practice. I'm sure A.J. will undoubtedly be not only beating himself up, but taking corrections and coaching, and will, hopefully it doesn't happen again. But that not a great beginning You'll probably undoubtedly hear about Jordan Love's day yet again today. He had some really nice throws yet again. Um, some big, some small gains. There was one job he did, though, as far as just getting the ball out of his hand that was so impressive, where he was turning basically to his right on a play action. And as he came back around with the ball in his hand, Rudy Ford was coming on a blitz off his blind side, basically. And he did a phenomenal job of just maneuvering around just enough to get the ball out of his hands to the tight end in the flat and not take a sack. I mean, that was a very impressive play that probably won't get talked about a lot, but I kind of noticed that, hey, those are things that set you back and get you behind the sticks. That's when you're trying to run play action on first down, and all of a sudden you're at 2nd and 18 because you took a sack because you didn't see the safety there. Really heads up play by Love, and very promising for being able to think on his feet, make things happen when things aren't 100% the way you draw them up. Going to need that. One other thing that he did that I really liked and was pretty impressed by was there was a certain play where it was very clearly an RPO where they had what started as an I formation. DeGuara does that thing where he kind of drifts to the left a little bit and they snap the ball. And Jones is going to hit the hole, so to speak. And Love had seen pre-snap that Jair was playing off Christian Watson a little bit, and as you would, right? Watson's going to fly by you if you don't. And he did a great job of just showing the ball enough to get the defense to commit to the run and then rising and firing backside on a slant. And Jair did a good job of, basically closing the hole, so to speak. But really, really heads up play by Love. Good recognition to see that, yeah, he's got a couple steps, and if Watson can get off the line quickly, there's a hole there, and I'm going to fire it in for a decent-sized gain, which is exactly what happened. Impressive stuff for a first-year starter, no doubt. Also, the biggest throw of the day, undoubtedly you'll see it if you're on Twitter. I know there's a video floating around. Just a phenomenal, gorgeous rainbow up the right sideline. Somehow, poor Innis Gaines is in coverage on Christian Watson up the right sideline. Not a chance. Perfectly placed ball by Jordan Love. Just phenomenal. Huge rainbow. Would have been a touchdown. Play of the day, probably. On the flip side, Danny Etling. Yikes. He had a play that was pretty forgettable if you're a quarterback. Stared down Malik Heath right in the flat. Heath had come across the formation in motion. Stared him down, threw it well behind him, and, hey, Carrington Valentine, you talk about see ball, get ball. He broke perfectly on the throw, completely read it, knew exactly where it was going to be, and he jumped that route and went for what would have been a house call. So great play by the rookie, but need better play from Etling, no doubt about it. The other thing you see and hear a lot while you're there, and there's music playing and there's people talking and it's a lot going on, but you cannot miss Rich Bisaccia getting after guys. I love watching him coach, and it doesn't he's yelling at the returners. He's yelling at coverage. He's yelling at, protection. It doesn't matter. Everybody's going to feel I'm not going to say wrath, but, his love, his stern love, if you will. But it is just a joy to watch him coach, no doubt. And one last thing I want to talk about, and you'll undoubtedly read about, once again, the defense triumphed and beat the offense. The offense had to do push-ups at the end of practice. Not great work from a whole lot of folks there in 2-minute drill on the offensive side. I will say Jordan Love had a beautiful throw to Jaden Reed that Reed couldn't haul in on 4th down. But we also got to see USFL superstar Alex Magoo, and I tell you what, Sean Clifford did some nice things in the 2-minute. Ultimately, the drive didn't really go anywhere, but Jadakiss Bonds, I can see why the Packers like him. He definitely looks the part. And I'm not telling you he's going to make the team or anything like that, but, man, if he can ball out on teams, get an opportunity on special teams from scrimmage, still raw, but I see the makeup of just, you see him at the line of scrimmage, big, tall guy, and he certainly looks like he can get a defender turned around. He did it a couple times, but the ball didn't come to him. Jadakiss Bonds is a guy who, maybe with some seasoning, and I'm talking maybe a year on the practice squad, whatever, I could see it there. So a name to keep an eye on. That's it for today for my first day here in Green Bay as far as what I really noticed. There's a lot of other things. I'm sure we'll talk about things that people have read online, what have you, during Packers Daily. But that's today's camp notes here from Green Bay on Cheesehead TV. Please do me a monster favor. Hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell your friends and tell your family. Cheesehead TV, we are devoted to Green Bay Packers fans.